Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping into some really interesting source material you sent over. It's a real estate listing, but honestly, it reads more like a story.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite the piece of marketing. We're looking at 6615 Camelot Court. That's in Keystone Heights, Florida.
Right. And we should mention the agent straight away.
Good point. The listing agent is Walter Key with Epique Realty in TC.
Okay, Walter Key. Got it. So this property, 6615 Camelot Court.
Yep. Listed at $700,000. It's got 4 bedrooms, 3,243 square feet.
And it sits on a pretty big lot, right? Like
Yep.
1.76 acres.
Exactly. Built back in '93, but the listing makes a big deal about it being completely remodeled. Says new everything.
Yeah, the new everything caught my eye.
Yeah.
But it's the framing of it all that's really fascinating.
Totally. They call it a modern-day castle.
Right. Where you could live like royalty. It's quite a narrative for a Florida home.
It definitely sets a theme, and, they stick with it.
They do.
Yeah.
So you walk in, and it's your royal retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And get this 2 living rooms, both with fireplaces. That feels grander than usual, maybe.
It does suggest more space, more dedicated zones. Fits the theme, I suppose. Like different wings of the castle.
Huh, maybe. And then there's a dedicated office space.
Right, because every royal needs, a command center.
Well, the listing says it's to manage the battlefield of modern work via Zoom calls, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. Blending the old theme with, the current reality.
But upstairs, that's where they really lean into the castle idea. There's this grand rotunda.
Oh, yeah, the rotunda. What do they suggest using it for?
Well, it could be a game room, maybe even a 5th bedroom, or, and this is my favorite, your very own round table chamber.
A round table chamber. Okay, they are definitely committed to the bit.
They really are. It's taking like an architectural feature and just running with the theme.
It forces you to imagine it that way, doesn't it? And the private quarters sound pretty plush, too.
Yeah, the main bathroom is described as a breathtaking spa-like bath.
Spa-like. Okay, so walk-in shower, separate tub.
Yep, walk-in shower, separate soaking tub, dual vanity, walk-in closet, all the expected luxury touches.
Fitting for royalty, apparently.
Seems so.
Yep.
And then outside, you've got that 1.76 acres, all fenced, your own private kingdom, kind of.
Creates that sense of seclusion, yeah. The listing even ties the parking into the theme.
Oh, right. The 2-car garage and the circle driveway.
Mm-hmm. Says there's room for all your noble steeds.
Noble steeds. Or, boats and RVs, as they clarify.
It's playful, keeps the narrative going, even with practical stuff like parking.
And there's a pool, too, right?
Yep. Private in-ground pool, screened enclosure. They call it the ultimate oasis for rest and recreation.
An oasis within the kingdom. It completes the picture.
So wrapping back to the numbers, $700,000 list price.
Mm-hmm. And the Zestimate. It's a bit lower, I think.
Yeah, $681,700. But the source also mentioned a pretty significant price increase recently.
Right. It jumped up, what was it, like $321K?
Yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
which is substantial.
So that kind of brings us to the interesting part, doesn't it? You have this 90s house, supposedly completely remodeled.
Right, knew everything.
Paired with this incredibly strong modern-day castle story.
So the question becomes, how much of that value, that $700K asking price, and the recent jump is tied to the actual physical upgrades?
Versus how much is driven by this really compelling, really memorable marketing narrative.
Exactly. It's a great example of how language shapes perception in real estate, taking standard features, even nice remodeled ones, and putting them in this whole fantasy frame.
It really makes you think about the power of a good story in selling, well, anything, really.
Definitely. This listing agent, Walter Key, certainly crafted a unique angle.
For sure. So maybe the final thought for you to consider is, what does it actually mean to live like royalty in a house like this today?
And how much value do you put on the story versus, the actual bricks and mortar, or in this case, the new floors and appliances?
Something to ponder.
Yeah.
A fascinating listing, no doubt.